Good evening and welcome to Gonna Shot. Today we're going to do a very interesting session. We're going to discuss the three wise men of Asia. Should I call them the three wise men, or you know what? That Amir Khan's movie. Oh, hang it. You'll be thinking why I took this subject. Yesterday night I was doing a lot of reading, and then I was jumping from Pakistan to Bangladesh to China, and then suddenly I said, "यार, ये तीन भाषाएं जो है ना, ये अलग किस्म के ही हैं ये तीनों ऑल थ्री ऑफ देम ये पता नहीं कहाँ से आए हैं कहाँ जा रहे हैं क्या क्या कर रहे हैं देन आई सेड या आई हैव टू डू a video on what they do up to. Then it struck me, let me do one, and let me talk of you know Pakistan, where Asim Munir has said he wants Pakistan to be a hard state. Oh, that तगड़ा state. Okay. एंड देन ऑफ कोर्स यूनार्की है, हो गया, कोई कुछ बकवास किया है उधर चाइना में तो कुछ वो अपना कहानी he's off too. And then of course when you look at China these days, everything is decaying. वो तो हाफ लाइफ में आ गया, वो चाइना ही हाफ लाइफ में है. Then I said, let me talk of these three wise men and where they're taking everything. And we'll tackle country by country and see where the whole thing goes. But before that, I want to talk of some feedback which I've got. And I think it's important that we discuss this. I'm not too bothered about how much time I'm going to take. I'll take a lot of time. And I'm also not going to hold back. You don't hold back your questions. We'll answer maximum of them. The idea is to have a debate going, okay? This is about India. A very sensible person who's given this feedback. He says, sir, there was a time when India denied everything. If you said India was dirty, the response would be, I can show how dirty USA is, for example. We denied what we were. He says, however, that India is left behind. Today, when I talk to Indian businessmen, they accept India's shortcomings. Obviously, he's from somewhere else. He's not an Indian. So all those who criticize India now are living in yesterday's world. This is something coming from someone outside. We need to understand what we are. Self-confidence chahiye hame. In 2 years, if Gadkari is to be believed, India's logistics cost will go below 10. I don't know what that metric is, but below 10. If that happens, the last decade's investment in infrastructure will be spectacularly successful in the sense that India will start becoming a manufacturing powerhouse. Why? Because at present our cost of production is very high because of logistics despite cheap labor. I think it's a very, very, very important thing. And, it was in 2000, I was doing my research for the dissertation on China those days in the higher command course. I remember people said, this is the analysis. What took 10 days for an item to move from place A to place B in China took 3 days in India and 1 day in USA. That was the difference. And we've lost that. Today, probably, if you put it, we've come down from 3 to probably 2. USA is, I would put it this way, what it takes 1 day in China today, because their infrastructure is huge. What it takes 1 day in China probably takes 2 days in USA and maybe 5 days in India. But that's changing. It's changing at pace. I see it. I often travel. And when I see the travel, I see the infrastructure, I see. Sometime back, I couldn't think of catching a flight from here to Dehradun. The other day, when I was called at the Lal Bahadur Institute for a lecture, people said, sir, don't worry. Get a flight into Chennai, it will drop you at Hyderabad, Dehradun directly. You don't have to change planes and get back that way. Things are changing, and that's important. People don't understand this. Okay. Then the next thing is, there are hardly any news channels that do serious analysis, as someone had said. In newspaper also, I have seen some good articles on money control. Rest others are mostly political. Among other YouTubers, yours, Sanjay Dikshit ji, Abhijit Iyer Mitra, Sai Deepak, mostly cultural. Palki Sharma, decent, does some serious analysis. I'm glad he's included me. But I would like to believe that I'm giving you something far beyond what others can think of giving you because of the expertise I bring on to Gunner Shot. And that is why I keep saying, please subscribe to Gunner Shot. You're going to get a value here, okay, at almost no cost. And then, of course, there's someone who said, I fully I endorse Shankar Sahib's assertion that China is our enemy and not competitor, and like his non-masala stories and no nonsense chest thumping without any logic. Again, the second part is important. There is no masala here, there is no chest thumping. We do what is the right thing as far as our economy is concerned, as far as India is concerned, and our strategic outlook is concerned. I'll give it to you with no holds barred. Right, before I get on to the rest of the story, I'd like to thank Venkat, who's become a YouTube member. I'd like to thank Jeet also, having joined me. Thanks a lot, Jeet, and Raju also. All three of you, so grateful to you and grateful to all the members who've been hanging on to me. I'm so grateful to them, right? I must express it. You're doing a human service. Like I said, it's for a noble cause. Uh, Nothing comes to me, or rather, I don't keep anything. Okay, let's get back to subject proper. What is it? We'll talk of Pakistan's architect of a hard state. Why am I doing this? That's the first thing. What is this business of hard state? Well, we have to understand this story first. The whole thing starts with this. Maharang Baluch is today in jail. Samuddin is in jail. Bibogar is in jail. That that long march has been halted. It's not been given permission to go into Quetta. Nothing is happening and nothing is moving. There are encounters going all over Pakistan, wherever. TTP, BLA, everyone is active. And the army is inactive. They're not doing anything about it. Or rather, seemingly. And the government is completely inactive. Okay. I've always maintained, like I said, Balochistan can survive without Pakistan. The question today is, can Pakistan survive without Balochistan? It is in this context I'm doing this whole story. In the end, I'll come to a different postulation when I finish off the architect of the hard state. Okay. Now, let's get on to this. This is what Asim Munir told the parliamentarians of Pakistan recently. What did he say? He says, if Pakistan were to successfully address the challenges posed by rising political, Islamist, and ethnic militancy, the country would have to become a hard state. And he pointed to the government failures for the spike in terrorism. He said, you guys have allowed this to happen. We need to become a hard state. There's a huge reaction within the country. And the reaction is fundamentally because there are a lot of people in Pakistan believe that the Baluch people are being mishandled. And they are worried that the Pakistan state might break up. And they feel that this postulation of Pakistan being a hard state is actually not what he means. We'll analyze it. Anatol Levin, in his book, Pakistan, a Hard Country, he mentions that Pakistan is a hard country not because of many other things, because it's a hard country internally to survive. It's a hard country because it takes a lot of shocks. The social system which exists, absorbs a lot of shocks, and that's why it's a hard country. It's not a hard country for other reasons, but even that I think is not correct. It's not correct. In generic terms, I don't think Pakistan is a hard country, but we'll come to it. What is a hard state? Okay, When you talk of hard state, you're talking of authoritarian systems like in China, North Korea, Russia. They are hard states. Okay, it's denoted by a strong centralized power. Very, डंडे मार के laws enforce करता है, and it maintains order also by this thing, like what happens in China. And it relies on military force or the uniform force and a strong bureaucracy to enforce it. The bureaucracy and the military act in concert to put draconian laws, like it happened in China during COVID. In this kind of a situation, is Pakistan a hard state? Where the law and the writ of the government doesn't run beyond certain places. It doesn't run definitely in the best part of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. It doesn't run in Balochistan. It doesn't run in Gilgit-Baltistan either. In a place like Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, the TTP has shadow ministers. There's a shadow cabinet functioning there. Is that a hard state where you allow a shadow cabinet of extremists or a TTP kind of an organization to run the state? And they run courts. Now, so this needs a little more understanding, not from my perspective, not from your perspective. I can go on day and night. But what do the Pakistanis think? Now, Ashraf Jahangir Qazi, who's been one of their diplomats, and I think a very stable thinker, though he's completely anti-Indian. Let me put it this way: he's completely anti-Indian. But that doesn't stop me from appreciating what he writes. What does he write? What does he point out? He says, ever since independence, Balochistan has been covertly or overtly run by the center, by the Danda. When you say center, remember, for the best part of Pakistan's existence, more than 50%, it's not a civilian government. It's either a military government or a hybrid government, which is backed by the military 100%. That's the center. So it's been run by the army. Now, all protests in Balochistan are equated with disloyalty. They could be against, if a person is protesting against exploitation, denial of human rights or political rights, it's disloyalty to the center, sedition and things like that. Now, any insurgency in Balochistan, they've had 5 waves of insurgency, which I have explained to you earlier. This is the 5th wave. They've been crushed mercilessly, including killing Bukti. Bukti was 80 years old. He was a chief minister of Balochistan. He was a defense minister of Pakistan. Finished. Okay. Now, the next thing he says is the Balochistan alienation has linked up with the Pakhtun alienation. The linkage is more. And that, he says, is beyond any military solution. There's no military solution to this. And I agree with him. Pakistan army does not have the capacity to handle both these movements. Call it insurgent movements, militant movements, freedom struggles, what do you call? It can't. And the thing which is going in Pakistan, which we need to understand, something called the Greater Punjab movement. I've not heard this for a long time, but Ashraf Jahangir Qazi talking of this is important. You think I'm going to talk nonsense. That's why I say anything I talk, I back it up with a slide and authority. Okay, that's my authenticity. And that's where intelligent analysis comes in. ये नहीं कि आके बकवास करो आप लोगों के सामने. No, he's talking of, he says Pakistan is being transferred into Greater Punjab. And he says last time when this Greater Punjab story was spoken of, 71, Pakistan broke. Understand the brink at which Pakistan is standing today, and why this stupid the first idiot we are talking of, where he's put Pakistan. Hot state Munir. Now he's gone again intellectual. He says Gunnar Myrdal. He defines a soft state as characterized by weak governance, lack of effective law enforcement, and general societal and political indiscipline. And this is exactly what is there in Pakistan today. Isn't it so? Is the government strong? No. Effective law and order? No. Nowhere. And there is complete political indiscipline. And there's a new story which is starting off on blasphemy and things like that. There's, I think, one white YouTuber who's been, there's a sort of Damocles hanging around his head. He's supposed to be the leading YouTuber of Pakistan for blasphemy. वो तो भाग गया कहीं. And he also says the military unity of command approach can never resolve complex historical identity, class conflict, resource sharing, socio-political and institutional changes, and I completely agree with him. These are the jobs of hardcore societal leaders, ethnic leaders, local leaders, leaders of the people who get that mandate from the people. The pretense that it can actually symptomatic is actually symptomatic of a soft no can do state and pretending to be a hard can do state. This is the current state of Pakistan is soft, it no can do. Kar nahi sakta. A failing state, whether caused by a weak state or a hard society, or the reverse, has almost no chance of long-term survival. No, he's talking of survival. And then Zahid Hussain, again, very good thinker, very good writer. He talks of Pakistan being a predator state. What does he say? He very clearly said Pakistan is a predator state. One. Number two, he says J.K. Galbraith is a thinker, economist. Right? He had a lot of influence in India, J.K. Galbraith. I'll not go into that. He says he's defined a state, a political system in which a narrow band of elites uses policy instruments for its own benefit, while the rest of the population foots the bill, is a predator state. So, taken by this account, Pakistan is a predator state. So, you see, that fellow says hard state. Jahangir Kazi says soft state, weak state. This man says predator state. We'll come to something else little later. What is happening in Balochistan and KP is of a failing state. Geo. Real question is, how will we come to this level? And that too in two strategically important provinces of KP and Balochistan. Same thing Ashraf Jahangir Kazi also asked. I mean, I could have got another 10 articles, but I thought these are the best. You should understand that, many of us talk from our perspective. You need to understand what's happening on ground. But unka kya soch vichar hai? In the military, this is what I learned. Before any plan, सबसे पहले खबर दुश्मन के बारे में, दुश्मन का अंदेशा क्या है, दुश्मन का सोच विचार क्या है, वो सोचो पहले, उसके बाद अपना प्लान बताओ. Then he goes on to say militancy cannot be fought when population is alienated, which is so at this point of time. Population in both the provinces is alienated, and life in large parts of Balochistan have come to a halt. We know that. He says this is the important thing. Instead of finding a political solution, the state is resorting to brutal measures that will only worsen the public discontent. You see, this is the paradox in Pakistan. Balochistan needs a political solution, and the Pakistan army is approaching it militarily, security, economy. But the requirement is political and humanitarian in nature. Okay. Khyber Pakhtunkhwa needs a political solution. Sorry, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa needs a military solution to root out TTP. But there, the Pakistani state is trying to solve it politically. And they're not. So they are failing here and they're failing there. Okay, that is why I say it's a failed state. Of course, then he says country's biggest provinces locked in an escalating cycle of violence with militarization and suppression of fundamental civil liberties and human rights. The recurring use of states' coercive instruments is not a sign of authority but of weak governance. There's no, there is no debate on who's to remain in power or not, who's to, what shall I say, do what in a particular state or not. It's the Pakistan army. But here you deploy the thing, repeatedly people ask, why should army not be withdrawn from Kashmir? There's a debate. Overall, the role of the armed forces in Kashmir has gone down. Not like, say, 5, 6, 10 years back. There's a calibrated approach. That's a strong state. Okay, it's not surprising that the situation in Balochistan continues to deteriorate as more coercive measures are adopted. Because beyond the point, ab jitna bhi mukka maro, no use. I remember when I used to do boxing, यार पहले मुक्के में ना थोड़ा लगता है. After the second, third box, it doesn't matter how many chaps you start hitting back. Otherwise, you're dead. So this is the thing. And he also jumps into this thing of the hard state. He says the hard state refers to a government that effectively implements policies, maintains strong control, and prioritizes national interest. Hard is not being, danda. Hard is doing the hard things right. Like we are doing. We might think we are failing, we are not doing up to the mark, but that is criticism. There's a difference between criticism being a hard state. But do we have a clear policy to win the trust of the people? No. Today you are in a position, you won the trust of the people back in J&K. You are in the process of winning the trust of the people back in Manipur. You lost it, you are winning it back. In fact, you had it, you lost it, and you're winning it back. That's a heavy price, that's a different story. A predatory state neither represents the interests of the people nor works for their welfare. That's precisely what's happening in Pakistan. There's not much time left to pull back from the brink and save the federation. Tenga. Now, most of Pakistan's security challenges arise from the gap between the state and the people. If there's a gap between the state and the people, you're looking at a soft state. The ruling civilian dispensation, backed by the military establishment, is wrecking state institutions. Higher judiciary is stripped of its independence by the change in the constitution they brought out 3 months back. There's not even a semblance of rule of law in the country. And there is increasing discontent in Sindh thanks to the unilateral decision by the regime to construct 6 canals. I spoke of it. 6 canals from Sindh into Cholistan Desert, military farming and all that. So if you look at any way, you're not in a great situation. Okay, I'll not go into this, but we'll take time. But one point, okay, Abbas Nisar was the ex-editor of Dawn. Okay, he's spoken that, look, Mengel's march holds promise, but the people, you have to exploit that promise. Use this promise. But that's not happening. If you deal with Mengel properly and you release Mehrang Buluch, you start a process of dialogue. If that doesn't happen in the next 3, 4, 5, 1 week, 10 days, the chances are Mehrang Buluch and Mengel, who are still within the constitution, might step out of the constitution and join hands with BLA. Then thank you, Pakistan. What he says, I, people today are alarmed at replicating that model China used in Xinjiang and how Sri Lanka dealt with the Tamils. If that happens, he says, thank you. Because Pakistan's geopolitical situation is far different from others. So there's a new angle he's brought in. Pakistan is thinking this way. How foolish they are. तभी तो मैंने बोला ना three idiots. And this is interesting. He says, where's the water? This 2 days back. I've been saying the whole week that Pakistan is heading for a water catastrophe. And this man says, where's the water? As per this report, there's no water in dams, river flows are plunged, and fewer snow deposits on mountains are not promising improved inflows. Pani nahi hai bhaiya. In years gone by, water shortages used to be in May, June, but it is now set come in March. And the new wave of canal building will give rise to a corporate agricultural revolution. Pakistan is going dry. Okay? Pakistan is going dry. So it's a dry state. And then there's this issue. Marang Baluch is in jail, the most popular leader in Baluchistan. Imran Khan is in jail, the most popular leader in Pakistan. The two most popular leaders in Pakistan are in jail. Okay? And what's interesting, both of them have been nominated for the Nobel Prize. If something happens to Marang Baluch tomorrow in jail and she dies, and as it is, the reports are that her health is not very great, then you're looking at converting her into a martyr like John D. Arc. Okay. And if Imran Khan, something happens to him, he becomes Nelson Mandela. Then though you have lost the battle completely. That is why Pakistan is where it is. Right? And it has its problems. All these problems are there. We've discussed it. Apart from Balochistan, KP is a problem. There's a political crisis still on with Imran Khan in jail, indebted economy, hostile neighbors, water, I've explained. So today, if I have to describe Pakistan, and of course, a little more, and there's also internal dissent in the army. Make no mistake about it. So if I have to describe Pakistan, what is it? Pakistan is a weak, dry state. Right? And till this lady is in jail, they're going to have problems. Okay. Earlier, I had said Balochistan can survive without Pakistan. And the question in the beginning I had said was, can Pakistan survive without Balochistan? But for the past 1 week, after having read it in complete detail, the question I'm getting into my own mind is this. The question is no more, can Balochistan gain independence from Pakistan? In my mind, can Pakistan stop Balochistan from becoming independent? Does Pakistan have the strength to do so? You're looking at a weak, dry state. Okay? And that is why our first idiot, Pakistan's architect of a hard state, is actually brought the state to where it can break. I've never seen Pakistan in such a state in my life. Now let us look at Professor Yunarki, the man who's brought Yunarki into Bangladesh, who's seeking Chinese pastures. We'll all know he went to China a few days back and he said something. So we'll go to assess that. He went, signed a few agreements. He went, met, Xi Jinping on economic and technical cooperation and all that. And then he spoke to people in Beijing. And this is all over the net. But we'll see what he said. And from there, we'll say, okay, what is the next point from there? Right. Let me first.
Eastern part of India, called Seven Sisters. They are landlocked country, landlocked region of India. They have no way to reach out to the ocean. We are the only guardian of the ocean for all this region. So this opens up a huge possibility. So this could be an extension of the Chinese economy. Build things, produce things, market things, bring things to China, bring it out to the whole rest of the world. That's the production house for you. So that's the opportunity we should seize and we should implement. We should get it done. Nepal has unlimited hydropower, which is a blessing. Bhutan has unlimited hydropower. That's a blessing. We can bring it to our purpose, like setting up our factories and so on. And from Bangladesh, you can go anywhere you want because the ocean is in our backyard. So this is the opportunity that we want to take. And not necessarily it will be something you produce and sell it to the world. You can produce in Bangladesh, sell it to China too. Because it's a market which is easier, cheaper to produce it in Bangladesh, or it's easier, cheaper to produce it in China. That will be the question you'll be raising yourself. Any kind of business is okay. It could be highly technology-oriented business. It could be relocation of an entire factory. That's also, it could be assembly line businesses, whatever. So this is a challenge we can take together to make it happen. That's the story that we want to discuss with you, how to make it happen, what are the impediments on the way, what needs to be done to clear up the path so that we can work together.
Right, you heard what he has said.
Seven Sisters. They are landlocked.
Okay.
Landlocked region.
Now the point is this. I have my observations on this. I thought let me go one by one. Whatever he spoke, I think was complete nonsense. Firstly, is he authorized to do so? He's not an elected representative. He's not even a transitional head of a government. He's a chief advisor. He's not legally representing Bangladesh. He's not an elected representative. But he went and spoke. He spoke because he's actually like a dictator now. The next thing, the Seven Sisters, whether they're landlocked or not is irrelevant. Okay. But the fact is, they're not the property of Bangladesh that he can say you can come and trade with Seven Sisters. Whether Seven Sisters can be traded with or not is our headache, not his. Who'll allow him? You think Chinese are fools to listen to this fellow? And Bangladesh is guardian of ocean. Which ocean? Which ocean are you guarding? You are landlocked. You're surrounded by India. He's forgotten that. He thinks India is free country. You can go anywhere you want like a cow. I am afraid that days are over for Bangladesh. He wants hydropower from Nepal and Bhutan. But he's forgotten there's India in between. So he is asking China, come, you produce, we'll get power from Bangladesh, say Bhutan and Nepal. So India क्या चने बेचेगा उधर? So we are Batman for him. कि भाई तुम प्रोड्यूस करो हम पावर देंगे और फिर हम देंगे थैंक यू. Okay. So he says, there'll be impediments in the way. Yeah, there's an impediment called India for your plans. Your plans will go nowhere, Mr. Yunus. He's talking all nonsense. That's why he's my second idiot of the day. And he's done a Shashtang Namaskar in front of China. The way he said, you come and produce anything you want to sell it here, you sell, you go take it back. It doesn't matter whether it's high tech, low tech, anything. Kuch bhi kar lo yaar, Bangladesh aa jana. Begging. He's laid himself out, he's laid Bangladesh out like a wipe, footmat to China. Anything, kuch bhi chalega yaar. Tu aa to ja. But the thing is this. The Chinese will not trust him. Why? He was a stooge of USA. He's been installed by USA. You think he'll be trusted? Unless Pakistan also comes back. That's the danger. We'll talk of it in the end. Okay. They'll not trust him. And they also know he doesn't have a say. He can say what he wants. But the businessman won't put his money down unless there's some stability. And there's no stability in Bangladesh today. You all know that. Okay. And everyone knows he's temporary. Okay. Interestingly, you know how much I read Chinese newspapers. Okay. There's no talk of this visit. There's not a single photo between Xi Jinping and this fellow in their media. So that doesn't mean China will not take advantage of the situation. They'll take advantage of the situation because this fellow is offering a highway to China in. We'll talk of that a little later. And see the reaction of Mrs. Veena Sikri, who had come on my channel also. We discussed. She spoke
Very
what she
shocking
said.
statement by Chief Advisor Mohammed Yunus. He has absolutely no right to make a statement like that. He knows that the Northeast is an integral part of India, and we have had very close discussions with the government of Bangladesh on access by Northeast India to the Bay of Bengal. And there are formal agreements on this about access through, there's a bridge that has been built over the river Feni, and access through Tripura to Chittagong port, and other, access by the riverway connecting from Mongla port right up to northeast in Zakiganj, which accesses state of Assam on the other side. So I think that I must say that we must condemn this statement because the manner in which it was made, as though the Northeast belongs to Bangladesh, and actually this I must tell you that this is an old habit of the BNP government. When I was there as High Commissioner, Begum Khalida Zia was the BNP Prime Minister, and Jamaat-e-Islami, who is now absolutely the biggest force in Bangladesh, was a member of the alliance government of Begum Khalida Zia. And that time, their Foreign Minister Murshid Khan used to say that Bangladesh may be India locked, but Northeast India is Bangladesh locked. So they have always got this eye that they can influence events in the Northeast, but it was never possible for them because the Northeast is fully integrated with India and all the connectivity has always been there. They have always been sending their goods to India. And then with every government in Bangladesh, we have had talks on connectivity. And with the Sheikh Hasina government for the last 15 years, we have had specific agreements on this subject. SOP, standard operating procedures, have been worked out, and it is expected that any government subsequently will adhere to it. And I can tell one thing to Bangladesh very clearly, that they cannot expect any rights as a lower riparian if they are not interested in giving rights of connectivity to Northeast India. So they should know this very clearly, and they should not have any illusions about this.
So Bangladesh should have no illusions. They'll not get any rights as lower riparian if they don't behave. Okay, very, 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 very clear. Okay, now, but there are more issues. There are more issues which you have to understand. See, there are a lot of commentary within opinion within Bangladesh of getting China on board, the dragon and the delta, and this, mind you, is a very important opinion piece written by this guy called Bobby Hajaj or Halaj or whatever that fellow's name is, and he was part of a delegation which went to Bangladesh last month. I did speak of it. A Bangladesh National Party come Jamaat kind of a delegation which went. And you see what he writes, and then you'll understand what I'm talking. Okay. He says a 21-member delegation went to China, which I spoke of. As active neighbors of negotiators of Bangladesh place in the unfolding Asian century. भाई बांग्लादेश का रोल है in on the unfolding Asian century. Bangladesh hai. See the image they have of themselves. Bangladesh is ready to be more than a recipient of Chinese investments. It is ready to be a strategic collaborator, a manufacturing force, and a regional stabilizer. भैया तेरे को किसने पूछा यार, तेरे पास तो खुद तो स्टेबिलिटी नहीं है, तू बाकियों को you need to stabilize yourself before you are a regional stabilizer. In any case, what's problem with the region? The region is all around you. India is quite stable. Yeah, you don't have to stabilize anyone. Acha. Then he says US, India, and China form a triad of competing interests in South Asia. Now, here comes Bangladesh. Bangladesh geography has placed it at crossroads of this rivalry. So there's rivalry between India, China, and USA. ये देखो कितना बेवकूफ लोग हैं ये. और ये लिखते हैं, और ये चाइना जाके ऐसे बात भी करते हैं, वो चाइना वाला सोचेगा ये कहां से ये इसके साथ पाला पड़ गया हम. And then he says Bangladesh geography has placed it at the crossroads of this rivalry. Okay, Bangladesh can be a bridge between these global powers, leveraging its historical closeness with India, growing ties with China, and its strategic importance to the US. उसने तो बोल दिया ट्रंप ने मोदी जी को कि भैया तुम देख लो इसको, और चाइना वाला भी एक्नॉलेज कर चुका है. China man was also said here, he's told Modi, hereafter Bangladesh means we have to deal with India. They say so. They think so. That's why China man is smart. He didn't even put out one, comment, not even a photograph, not even a mention that this man has come to Bangladesh. Okay. Anyway, and then they put out a 11-point charter. They went and discussed all this. Okay. अच्छा, ये तो ठीक है, कल्चरल एक्सचेंज बेस, ये वो सब. ओके, लास्ट थिंग इज इंपॉर्टेंट. बांग्लादेश चाइना रिलेशंस हैव एंटर्ड अ न्यू एरा. ठीक, one where Bangladesh is just not a recipient of investment but a co-creator of the future. See the self-importance of Bangladesh. The foundation has been laid, the agreements have been acknowledged. The challenge is execution. भैया हर वक्त एग्जीक्यूशन ही चैलेंज होता है. एग्जीक्यूशन हो ना तब बात करो, ये तो होने वाला नहीं है. चैलेंज, एग्रीमेंट्स हैव बीन एक्नॉलेज्ड, प्लान सब बना लिया, भाई करेगा कौन? बांग्लादेशी. And then China has a 1-point agenda, Tista, and that we should be aware of, and we should take care of it. And it's not only that, we should also give the bloody danda now to Bangladesh. If by you interfere in the northeast, give protection to militants and all that, then we'll come heavily down on you. No more soft peddling with Bangladesh. I think the time to handle Bangladesh softly as friendship and all is over. Okay, till there's a proper government, elected government settles down and is a responsible government, responsible to its people and to its international committee, not a senile 84-year-old chap who doesn't know what he's talking. You know why I brought this? Pakistan is exploring options to bring water from Tajikistan, okay, to Balochistan, and they made a feasibility report and completed it and given it to China for approval. Where is Tajikistan? That's Tajikistan, and this is where Niche Gwadar, the complete length of the country, they want to get water from the other side. This is a khab. Oh, Mungeri Lal ka Haseen Sapna. This Sapna and Bangladesh Sapna is the same. That is why I got this. Just the way Pakistanis are living in one dream world, these fellows also started living in another dream world. And then there are things like remnants of a revolution. Look, what I can see is this. This revolution is about to eat its own children. It's going to happen. It's not far. And Bangladesh should be very clear about it. I mean, why am I bothered? Let Bangladeshis eat their own children. Okay? And this is a very interesting article I found. Who will the citizens vote for in the next election? The Daily Star chaps went and checked. People said BNP, some people said Jamaat, some people this, that, and all that. But the interesting part is this. The one arrow which I've shown in blue, the 60% of the people thing. They either said they'll not tell, they're not decided, they've decided but not tell. So 60% of Bangladeshi people are not probably with the parties where people have said they'll get a vote. So it's all up in the air. The people hold their brains. So let the people decide. That's the point. Okay. So let's not get carried away that BNP, if tomorrow elections are held, BNP will come or Jamaat will come and this and that will come. The people have not taken a call in Bangladesh. And I commend the people of Bangladesh, that 60%, the silent majority who have not given away their hand. Okay. My heart goes out to them. And then they have said India is all that. Look at this import from India rise as exporters battle against lead time. What is lead time? Proximity. You're next to them. By the time they get stuff from China, Thailand, Pakistan, एक तो पैसा टाका लगेगा टाका एंड टाइम इंडिया से 2 घंटे 3 घंटे में पहुंच जाता है उधर सिलीगुड़ी से कोलो तो 4 घंटे में यू विल रीच द सेंटर ऑफ डावका उसको छोड़ के आप यूनान से लेके आना चाहते हो यार कितना बड़ा बेवकूफ है बट दे कांट हेल्प इट ना थर्ड इडियट इज द चीफ एडवाइजर उसका ओके I mean, just think, forget about everything else. What? That's their own question they're asking themselves. Whatever major earthquake strikes Dhaka, what if it happens? All India has to do is sit back and laugh. हमें जो होगा होगा यार हम कर लेंगे तेरा क्या होगा कल ये कभी सोचा है जाके चाइना में बकबक करता है ये बेवकूफ थर्ड इडियट The only sensible piece I found in the past 2 months is this about India and Bangladesh working together. This gives me hope. This gives me hope that we lost so many people, their lives, their sacrifices to make this nation. My heart still goes out for Bangladeshis who are keeping quiet and holding the cards close to their chest. But the guys who are ruling today, whether it's the Jamaat or the BNP or everyone, or they're trying to influence the army, they need to be sorted out. How we have to sort them out is up to the government of India. I leave it to them. I'm not going to give you anything that, look, this has to be done. And I also commend the Bangladeshi army because it is held strong. I think the major stabilizer in this country is the chief of army staff. My respect for him. Salute. Because he survived a coup. He is not let, and the president, Chupu, both have held firm and not let this country be run completely by Jamatis and radicals. Okay. So that's it. That's Professor Unarchy. That's will Bangladesh come out of its unarchy? Not as long as this man is around. Will they? Why they can seek Chinese pastures, but will they get anything from there? I doubt. Yeah, China will exploit Bangladesh with giving them breadcrumbs to operate against India. That's something we have to see. There's no doubt on that. But will this country be able to come out of its economic malaise? Will it be able to come out of the load shedding it is going on? And very soon there'll be flooding. Will it come out of the water shortages it's going to face? Or the water problems it's going to face? Question mark. Unless they start behaving normally with India. We don't expect favors from them. They have to talk well. Go back in time when their thing happened, the revolution, so-called revolution, I call it a coup. We still gave out a hand and they were cursing us. Now the boot is on the other foot. So, okay. Abhi, number 3, the third wise man, the wisest of the lot. We'll talk of this economic decay. Today when we talk of what China is, a lot of people talk of a lot of things, and China is that, China is this, and what are you talking of? And you're talking nonsense. I completely agree with them that I talk nonsense. But the fact is, That nonsense is based on what comes out of China, not what I make. My analysis is based on Chinese writings with authority. Okay. But today I'm not going to show an authority to you. I'm not going to read anything, AO and all that. I'm going to do something different. You have to understand why China is going where it is going because of Xi Jinping, who's boxed himself. That's why that. Okay. When he said boxed himself, he's boxed China. You have to understand first. We all know that this is a story of cartoons, complete cartoons. I don't have to be in front of you. I can run you through this whole thing like this. He's cornered all titles with him: commander in chief and head of state, head of economic affairs. That's why I call it economics. कम्युनिस्ट पार्टी का चेयरमैन है, सब कुछ है, रिफॉर्म्स का भी चेयरमैन, सब कुछ है ये. तो असली में क्या है? मेरे हिसाब से ही इज द इडियट ऑफ ऑल थिंग्स इन चाइना. Okay, he is the idiot of all things in China. How? Why? If you see the Chinese GDP over a period of time, from 2012, that's the Xi Jinping era, to now, you see that GDP has consistently gone down. And even these are fake GDPs. Asli GDP, though, it's in contraction zone. Okay. And then you see their population. This is the standard population. Okay. Which is the source for this graph? The source is the Shanghai Academy of Social Sciences. This is not my thing, it is theirs. But this peak, right? This peak happened in 2020. It was supposed to happen 10 years later. That's why it's economic decay. Peak has gone 2020, right? This till 2020 they kept saying it will happen in 2030. Now, what about the working age population and things like that? This is again their graph. I mean, this looks funny, but you look at the table. The table gives you the real figure. The reality check is in the table. Okay, here, look here. In 2030, if you look, just 5 years from now, their working population will reduce by 10 million. Okay, old age population will increase by 50 million. They'll have a net loss of 60 million. That's not bad. If their population is 1.4 billion, still not bad. They can go through. But by 2040, if you go by these figures, right, these figures, by 2040, they would have lost 140 million working population and added 200 million old ages. Net loss is 340 million. So after 2030, their slide is going to be very severe demographically. And this kind of a slide has never happened in history, not even in Japan. People talk of Japanification, but something else is happening. Very important. Already, not much has changed. Very little marginal change in population has happened so far. Even their births, marginal changes are happening. But the marginal changes are setting a trend of downwardness. What is happening important? It's not important what is happening today. Just projected 5 years ahead. I've shown you, and another 5 years ahead. That's why I keep saying 2030 you will see China off the cliff. And there is no answer to this. I refuse to believe that there's an answer to this. This is it, as far as I'm concerned. China's population is raging and declining, and just as they're about to conquer the world, बुड्ढे हो गए. And this article, I have always held, I always keep reading it. Adam Poson's The End of Economic Miracle, China's Economic Miracle in Foreign Affairs. Worth reading. Every 6 months I read it. Now let's look at Xi Jinping's journey and his decay. When he started in 2010, 12, he followed the footsteps of Deng Xiaoping. And he instituted an anti-corruption campaign. He started the BRI and he promised doubling the economy by 2035. Okay, that's the thing. It was welcomed. And soon he started the next story that fine, he was walking behind Deng Xiaoping, but he was wiping his marks off. Why? He brought out his Xi thought, Xi Jinping thought. Okay. Then he started dual circulation. This is the time when he found the problem of exports and manufacturing was known even then. The problem of investment, consumption, exports, and trade surplus, which I explained last week, was known even then. So he started this business of dual circulation. One circulation outside, one circulation inside. Inner circulation, inner consumption. Failed. Xi Jinping thought, fine. Then he started this made in China, which has succeeded partially, not fully, partially. Okay. So Xi Jinping thought, he put it up. And in putting up the Xi Jinping thought, the general consensus is that he's written his own history. And constance Xi Jinping in China's history. Okay. And that is the only bestseller in China. That's the story. Okay. Then came the 19 Party Congress. It was in the 19 Party Congress that he took a major step. He threw Deng Xiaoping out and shook hands with Mao. Thereafter, I've done a program on this. Maybe I'll have to repeat it for those of you who don't understand China. 19th Party Congress is probably in the past 10 years or 15 years the most important party congress. That is the time when Xi Jinping turned course completely. He jettisoned hide your time, bide your, hide your strength and bide your time and all that. He just jettisoned. Okay. And then he promoted this thing called the New Development Concept, which is all about state control. State industries, large state industries, back to Marxism and Leninism and Maoism and communism with Chinese characteristics. That was the time when he came out with this theory, his theory of common prosperity. Common prosperity is common in the communist lexicon, but he had his own theory of common prosperity. Anything he had to do after the 19th Party Congress had to be measured against his idea of common prosperity. Fundamentally, common prosperity was take money from the rich and give it to the poor. But his idea was not fully so. Because so far he's not given anything to the poor. And then came COVID, which he exported to the rest of the world. And well, we'll talk of it a little later. He took advantage of this situation, right? And went into South China Sea. This is also the time when he came to settle scores with India. Isn't it? So you see this man, the way he's changed course, the way he's been opportunistic, the way he's been aggressive. right? And this was also the time when he felt the state owned enterprises had to be at the top rung, and he broke the private sector. 2021-22, Jack Ma shunted off. Complete educational tech sector finished off. The financial tech sector finished off. The property was left loose. The three red lines of the property. So it is from then to now, the property has not recovered. It will not recover. I have been telling you this till 2030, 2030. The educational tech sector is completely finished. He broke it under the guise of common prosperity. And the fintech sector, done. Why did he break the fintech sector? When people say he'll go back to private thing, he will never do it. This is important to understand. He felt the fintech sector had devised ways to circumvent the government. And the control of the government on the financial sector had gone weak. And hence, he had to break it and get it under state control. He did it. And as all this was when COVID was raging, and he kept hiding figures. Okay? That's part of his economics. He kept hiding figures. And these are the figures of New York Times. They did a study, and this came out somewhere last year. The official count is 83,000 deaths in COVID. Based on the Shanghai, whatever happened in the outbreak in Shanghai, there should have been 1.6 million deaths. Travel patterns, New York Times estimates almost 1 million deaths. Okay, testing data and how many people were tested and all that, because there was a severe testing regime in China. You had to get tested every 2-3 days. It was 1.5 million deaths. Based on US death rates and how people died, it's another 1.1 million deaths. So you take suction average of all this, 1.6 to 1 million, somewhere in between. So you're looking at about something like 1.3 to 1.4 million people died during COVID. Part of the economic, part of the decay which the society is undergoing. When you lose so many people in a house, that household can't recover. It's not easy. After all, they're also people. If 4 people in your house die, how will you recover? And if that chap happens to be a breadwinner, what happens to your house? A lot of economy has gone down in this route. And today what people are talking is that this is highly underreported. The deaths in COVID might be much more. People are talking of 200 million. But I'll not go that far. Even if it is 5 times this, it's bad. And then that is also the time he got caught between economic control by the state and private control. He was split. But he chose the state control. Right? And this was also the time, if you remember, every day we were listening whether they will China will go across Taiwan, all that. The Nancy Pelosi affair. That was the first time when that deployment took place around Taiwan. Even today they've done so. They've done some firing and all that. We'll talk of that later. Okay. And this was also the period when the state economy was given complete help. The rest were not bothered. But issues like food security came up. Food security came to the fore in this period. China started rationing food. I remember still saying, don't waste food. In China, the food, what was to be served in parties and all was laid down by Xi Jinping. Egg dal, egg sabji type. Why? The food security is under threat. That threat has not gone. Neither has it been repaired by Xi Jinping. And this was also the time when You know, suddenly there was energy crisis in China. There was a drought and an energy crisis in China. 22, 22, 23, just after COVID. They had to go back to coal-based energy, and they have not got off it. And their energy system is going even worse. Well, people can talk what they want, but the fact is that they don't have energy. They're energy deficient, they're resource deficient. They might be cornering rare earths, A, O, and all that. They're all controlled. And that is also, like I told you last time, in 10 years, China will not have control over rare earths. Then what happens to China? In the meanwhile, he started getting his history written and putting it in the Communist Party history officially. This is the kind of economic decay which is gone on in China. That he's put himself above Mao and Zheng. He's the tallest leader in China's history. This he's already got it put 3 years back. Okay. But ultimately, the COVID came back home. It came back to his daddy. And from then, China has not been able to recover. All of us have recovered. COVID was there with us, we recovered. But why all this has happened? People forget the interregnum. Everyone starts looking at China from today. That's why I thought I'll do this and elaborate kind of a thing today. And then came the 20th Party Congress. Around the time COVID was about to be lifted. But if you remember October 22, COVID was still raging in, China. He, in that, this thing, he again swung somewhere else. He forgot about common prosperity, all that. Then he started talking of security, technology, state control, Sinocentric world order, global civilization initiative. All these initiatives which he started. That bond between the Chinese and the state and the CCP. You give me your freedoms, I'll give you prosperity. Vanished. He never spoke of that one line also in the 20th Party Congress. I mean, we many times when we assess China, we forget all this history which has happened. For us, it is history. For them, it is actuals. There are repercussions of all these things which he has done. And those repercussions are being felt today. So when I talk of China, I talk with all this background. I thought I'll put this across today. Okay. And then, ever since COVID, his economy is like this. All his engines are on fire. The last thing is he's looking at consumption. This built. Okay. And we've discussed consumption last week. How difficult it is going to be for him to lift consumption. If consumption gets lifted, he has to offset it somewhere else. I'll put that video out again. And now in panic. Make no mistakes. Even today, I saw an article which says, how do we make ends meet? How do you make ends meet, यार? उसको सिरे जोड़ दो, उससे नहीं हो रहा. ये मेरा सोच विचार नहीं है, ये चाइना के सोच विचार है भैया. And then he came out with last year new productive forces, EVs, panels, batteries, military, AI. Then he's got private players back. I'll come talk of private players later, but you look at the other things. This is razzle dazzle. The military and the private players, I'll just talk. What about the private players? He's brought them. But the way he's given instructions to them, he's caught them by the throat and their testicles. Now, in those conditions, will those private players be able to deliver? Forget it. They might have a lot of AI, but that will not give you return of income. They might have a lot of robots. So what if? So what if you have robots? What is the cost of a robot? Who's going to pay for it? Now, I'll talk of the military separately. Okay. But there are so many issues which have come out today. That's why there's a decay. I'm using the word decay in China. There are no jobs, there are no wages. Wages are going down. Consumption is low. We've spoken about it. Real estate is stuck. It's not going to come out. Infrastructure is there. It's in a top. You don't need more infrastructure in China, but they're still building. Debt levels are high. BRI is almost dead. Just incidentally, in Niger, few days back, there's an article which has come out where people have been Chinese have been arrested by some वो क्या बोलते हैं pirates. They've been caught. So they went to get them out. They had to give bounty, ransom देना पड़ा. This is not the second instance. There were 3-4 instances so far where China has freed its fishermen and their vessels by paying ransom. So what is this great Chinese navy all about? World-class fleet. They can't save their own people increasingly. And there are discussions within China and analysis within China as to, China has no choice but to go out and export. But if I go out and export, I'm getting hit. And that's what they've done in Pakistan. They have put their private security contractors in Sindh, in Tarparkar, in their coal mines or some power plant. So that's a test case. They put him there. They're not put them in Balochistan and all. यहाँ 2-4 चाइना वाले मर गया तो उसको बट्टा बैठ जाएगा. So they're there to test the case where they're in a safe place. And here also the Chinese are not prepared to fight. दम नहीं है fight करने के लिए. Okay. And this is the thing which says the great fall of China. This is the general view. And you're not going to recover. Let me add, what's the problem in the CMC? This is a CMC. With him at the top, 2 vice chairmen and 4 members. Today, 3 of them are not there, including one vice chairman, including He Widong. He Widong, Li Shangfu, and Mia Hua. ये तीनों गायब. So Zhang Yuxia and 2 other members are running the CMC. And Zhang Yuxia is against Xi Jinping. So where is China going? This military, great military, can it fight? And Kexin Global, which is of China, came out with a list of people who have been arrested, who of generals and all that. Let me give you the summary. Summary is, ever since Xi Jinping has taken over, 14 full generals, 20 lieutenant generals, and 50 major generals have been canned. And 2 defense ministers, and about 8-9, chiefs and theater commanders. How can this military fight here? You think so? You sack one general in the Indian army and you see the morale going around, and how many people will discuss? Either though every day, as this is going on, there are purges taking place. When you read their Chinese newspapers, you understand. Even today, I saw in the morning there were 3 or 4 purges of different things. That purges are going on wholesale, more than what it was earlier, which means there's a political struggle going on. You don't sack a guy who's in charge of a PLARF and the vice chairman without some logic. And the logic is struggle. Even in the Politburo, there's a problem there. And this quote is something which I always keep talking of. How do you go bankrupt? And this is by Ernest Hemingway. Okay, he's Ernest Hemingway, for those of you who don't know. 2 ways, gradually and then suddenly. Okay, gradually, suddenly. That's the way, 2 ways of going bankrupt. China is in the gradual phase. Understand this. Okay, this is the crumbling wall of China. I showed it 3 days back, I'm showing it again. You have a look at it. If I say this is where I never had it as a crumbling wall. I never had political instability as a thing which I've added now. There's nothing which is succeeding in this except technology. How long can technology be the one which will pull China out of its mess? It can't. China will still remain a big power. There's no doubt about it. But it doesn't have that kind of influence. Why am I talking all this? We need to understand. I keep coming back. We need to understand the China we are dealing with today is not the China we were dealing with 4 years back. The India which was there 4 years back is not the India we today. We changed. And herein I come to my postulates. What are my postulates for India? I'll put it on and have a look at it, read it, and I'll also read it out for you. India's rise will be a problem for cheap pack bang, China, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. There's a new collusivity which is coming about. We need a common strategy to handle all three of them. We need to understand this. It's not going to be something overnight. Sooner or later, they will all join hands together. Okay? India's rise will have a major problem for them. If India must rise, China will decline relatively. There's no doubt about it. So it is in India's interest that as China ages and declines, we have to step up to our tasks. What those tasks are, we'll discuss some other day. No, we need to prepare and act accordingly from now on. A splintering Pakistan brings its own challenges. Visualize and act on them. If Pakistan splinters, what do we do? How do we handle the nuclear question? How do we handle 5-6 chota mota states? How do you handle many issues which will come out of it? From my side, neither is a weak Pakistan good, nor a bad, strong Pakistan, nor a broken Pakistan. All three are bad. Bangladesh will remain troublesome. It's time to bottle it. Look, this is a thing which I've always held very dear to my heart. And I must tell you this all. India rises despite the setbacks and chaos which we feel daily. Okay, this is our history. Virus, China, Pakistan, floods, earthquakes, कुछ भी हो जाए, we cannot be stopped. Okay, we underestimate our greatest strengths, and those strengths are diversity, vitality, or soft power, which is actually hard power, democracy, assimilation, and trust. These are our greatest strengths, and we don't give any bow to them. We give bow to economy. We have the skill set to rise. We are a hard country. We, the people, and the government must capitalize on this. And the government must realize it more than us. Because the way it is handling some of its people and some of its state leaves a lot to be desired. Okay, I'm not blaming it, but I think there's a lot of room for improvement in the way we deal with our people. We have the best armed forces in the world. I'm saying it with conviction. We are strong enough to hold China and Pakistan and Bangladesh at bay. I've always said the Indian armed forces are strong enough to safeguard the territorial integrity and sovereignty of this nation. They've never let it down except 62. Okay? For that, we are modern enough. If they are strengthened from where we are, then India will grow, and we need to respond accordingly. The government has to respond accordingly. Because I feel if India has to grow, its armed forces must have the capability to dominate the Indian Ocean region. And we should not deviate from the path of growth. Right. That's all I've had to say. I hope you guys have liked this video. If you like this video, press the like button. And if you also like this video, send it to your friends. Anyway, I'll split it into three and put all three separately, and you guys can see it at leisure, small bits. But I think it's pretty important. And we're going to talk of many things in this week. Later this week, I'm going to come out with what the interesting Chinese analysis which has come out about our culture and things like that. So maybe on the weekend, open house, I'll talk to you about the culture paradigm in which India and China are. I've not spoken of it so far, but we'll talk of it. Thanks. I'll take questions. Yeah. Thanks a lot, Jeet. It's my job to do so, and unless I do it, yeah, it's out of question. Okay. So looks like the three unwise monkeys with a propensity to see evil, hear evil, and speak evil. In my measured view, this is all about par for the course. As we recognize it all. Yeah, I agree with you completely. Right? But I put it in the three idiots format. Great thumbnail. Thanks a lot. Just spread it. Nonsense chest thumping was amazing. Yeah. Asim Munir is one of the worst army chief of Pakistan. He's good for us. Excellent. I agree with you completely. Uh, thanks, Sri Hari Raju. Once again, you come up with 50 membership. Honored. So grateful to you. Yeah, why are we in Indians so insecure? Yesterday, the news channel were run. Unisys calling Chinese investor in Bangladesh. It's not a threat to India by any stretch of imagination. But the way he's going about doing things, he needs to be put in place. That's the more important thing for me. I call Ami a parasite and a scavenger, not a predator. That's fine. But ultimately, the Pakistan is now a weak state and a dry state. The dry is more important. Harry Singh. Who is supporting brass? India, USA, or both? Also, is there any country having interest in disturb Balochistan CPEC? Harry, it's like this. What I've made out, I've spoken to a lot of people from Balochistan, and they feel no, India is not helping. In fact, they say we don't want help from India. We want your goodwill, and we want you to, just support us politically and diplomatically. That is enough for them. And on media, like I talk of this. He says that's more than enough. So I think they have a model. The thing with the BLA and BR brass, Baluchistan Rajoy Ajoy Sangram, Sangad. I think they have a financial model in place. How that is coming, I don't know, but they have. So that's how it is. I don't know whether USA is interested in helping Balochistan. They might be interested in keeping the issue alive, but I don't think they will be interested in splitting Pakistan because they feel it might go out of their control. Thank for this, Pakistani and some of my own Bangladeshi fools will never learn any lesson. They are troublemakers, backward fools for life. I agree with you, Donga. Yeah. What if visa ban for Punjab students, uh, Bangladesh students to bring pressure on UNIS? And yeah, we can. There are all options open. You can ban them. You can ban medical. See, it's like this. Let me tell you. Uh, they are not getting medical tourism. See, from Bangladesh to India, there's a lot of medical tourism. Okay. So that medical tourism today is reduced. So where do people go? I mean, I know people come to Apollo Hospital. A lot of people come to Apollo Chennai from Bangladesh for treatment. I've seen them earlier. No, they're not coming. So the point is, in Yunnan, they've opened 3 hospitals for that in Yunnan. But for them, everyone has to go from uh, Bangladesh to Yunnan by flight. Who can afford it? Whereas here, by coming to India, they come by train. And they're pretty poor people. Many of them can't afford. So that won't happen. So there will be people pressure on Bangladesh. It's not so simple. They have other things also they need. Yeah, please explain in detail what the term you called Greater Punjab means actually from Pakistani point of view. Yeah, it's all is this so-called Greater Punjab by Pakistan for areas in Pak only or India too? It's only in Pakistan. It's not for India. You see, the postulation of or the thinking in 70, 71 before the war was that the Greater Punjab has to rule Punjab, Pakistan as a whole, as an undivided Pakistan. That was the plan. The power has to be in the created the Greater Punjab, so that the vote doesn't go to Bangladesh. That was the plan. This was the thinking. See, they say, look, they all knew that the number of seats in Bangladesh are more than in West Pakistan. East Pakistan were more than West Pakistan. So their plan of Greater Punjab was use this thing of Greater Punjab, consolidate the vote in West Pakistan and fragment the vote in East Pakistan. Unfortunately, their whole story, the way they went about doing it, the opposite happened. The vote got consolidated in East Pakistan and fragmented in West Pakistan. And that is why Mujib was voted into power, which he was never. He was to be the prime minister. If he was given the prime ministership, the whole story would have been different. But he was not. And the story became what it is. It was that Greater Punjab thing which broke Pakistan. So that is what Ashraf Jahangir Qazi talks of Greater Pakistan thinking even now. It is even more prominent. If these fellows could think of Greater Pakistan then or Punjabization then, when so many East Pakistanis were there, अभी तो बाकी है ही नहीं. So that is the thing. That's the thing. It's not India. Oh, they cannot appear to lose prestige. I agree with you. Chandrasekhar, good analysis. Thank you. When we talk of independent Balochistan, then out of 347,000 kilometers of Balochistan, how much area are we talking of with how many districts as Northwest Balochistan? Yeah, there's an issue on all this. We don't know what they're talking of. No? We are talking of the Balochistan as it exists, but there's some parts of northern Balochistan are Pashtuns. The TTP wants those 2 or 3 districts also part of Pashtunistan. So there are issues, and some part of this might go into Sindh, or rather, some part of Sindh might come into Balochistan. But that's a later day story. वो बाद में देखेंगे. I think Mengal is an opportunist who's trying to be an ace. Might be that was what the thinking was till recently, but in the past 1 week, thing has changed. A lot of ground support for Mengal is there today because he is fighting now for Mairang and Samidin and Bewagar. Okay, so Sindh post 1947, Sindhis in Sindh are only 6% out of 5.5 crore, 2 crore in Karachi, 50 Mohajir from UP. Question: at 61% of Sindh, can Sindhis get freedom? No, they can't. Look, it's not that. It's not that whether they can get freedom from Pakistan. Can Pakistan hold on to them? That's the point. You see, it's like this. Well, this question was asked many times. Can India hold on to JNK? Right? But we held on. Why did we hold on to JNK? We held on because we had the hard power to hold on to JNK. Hard power, not the way Pakistan thinks, the way others have spoken. You had the rule of the law, you had democracy, you had outreach to the people. The army uh, stepped up its action only when needed. When the things have gone down, the army has stepped back. You did a political solution. We held on. Pakistan doesn't have the tools to hold on today. Why? That's the main thing. Yeah. Interestingly, in physics, there's a more scale of hardness, 1 to 10, and the harder a material, the more brittle. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you on this completely. So they are, Yunus, you can beat us anyway with a stick or. Yeah, that's okay. He is not elected, but a dictator supported by jihadi radicals. I agree with you. Um, Gana's 149 watching, but only 185 likes. Folks, just press the like button. This is coming from one of us who's watching. Just press it. I'll be grateful to you. Okay. This is nice. Stabilizer. What stabilizers? TV, AC, computer. That's yeah, but yeah. Fauji talking like Toka is so sad. I don't know what Toka is. So James Dillon, we know that you're from Bangladesh. That much I know. India should take over Rangpur district that is close to Siliguri corridor as it has 35% Sana. I don't think it's so simple, Sandeep. I've done a show on this with the PI on P Gurus with Shreyarji. It's not easy. You really can't. What's your view on cutting off Chittagong and northern part of Bangladesh as majority community there are Hindus? It might create international pressure, but is this feasible? Nikhil, this is again what same thing which I'll tell what Sandeep said. Uh, it's not feasible. I did this show again with Shreya here. We examined it. Hindus are spread all over. There is no one concentration of Hindus. So if you take one small part off, the rest of the people there will get badly hurt. So I don't think we should attempt that at all. Bangladesh lies, lies, and lies, hoping that by repeating such falsehoods, the world would start believing it to be true. Probably the new era of narratives has begun. Yeah, usko chodo, wo to बेवकूफ आदमी है, क्या करोगे? Yeah, that's a whole thing. Would India reinstate Hasina? I heard stories about India working at backdoors with others, even with China. I don't think it's a good idea to reinstate China, Hasina. Uh, I'm okay with the fact that you keep her here, help her out, all that. To send her back, I don't think the situation in Bangladesh warrants it. You might just endanger her life. And I think now, if she'll have to wait out 2 3 years. If she waits out 2 3 years, I think she'll become too old. So that's out. Unless she gets her son and daughter in and all that, but that's a big long story. BNP and Jamaat seem to believe they are already in power as their cadres have begun engaging in crimes and extortion. I don't think that, like I told you, see that survey by Daily Star is very important. 60% of Bangladeshis are not talking. So how can they take it for granted? On 6 canal project, Project is for Chulistan in southern Punjab and at punishing cost for Sindh's Indus water. Doesn't that show that Pak army treats southern Punjab as part of establishment, but Sindh is alien? See, it's not a matter of this. They have that land has been corporatized, and the corporates are owned by the army. So money is going to the army. Please understand, this is nothing but Punjab or Sindh and all that. The effects might be on Sindh, that's a different story. But the story, fundamental story कि भैया पैसा बनाओ और आर्मी को ये पूरा पैसा आर्मी के खाते में जाने वाला है. That's the plan. Thanks a lot, Chai K. Nice to see you. It was nice to see Bangladesh having an opinion on Tulsi Gabbard being in India. Perhaps things are already in motion as per Trump's bank. Yeah, they are. On that, let's not have doubts. Even Chinese understand what's happened. The Chinese are not fools. At the end of the day, look, they're smart guys here. Okay. News of BYD coming to India to manufacture 6 lakh cars is all gas. Let's see, because I see some cars they're being sold, but how much they'll sell or not, I don't know. And I don't think they're very cheap. They're pretty costly. I believe reports are coming. Chinese manufacturers are going up. Manufacturing are going up, and it is to be at 12 months. That's okay. Their manufacturing can go up. There's no problem. The sales also can go up. There's no problem. Is it profitable? That's the point. It's not. Because cost cutting is at the peak. They're selling at loss, and the state can't subsidize. That's the danger they're facing. And if the state doesn't subsidize and the surplus doesn't get sold, they're going to have a catastrophe. And how far can the state subsidize this? And Trump's tariffs will not help. Amitesh, I've seen this thing of yours 2-3 times. You have to look at it from 360 degrees, not just take a headline and see it and be happy with it. Yeah, saw a report that Chinese population between 600 to 800, not stated 1.4. I don't think so. If that had been there, there would have been social effects. You see, second order social effects would have been come out. I don't agree with that. Last night show on Nepal was an eye opener. Continue it as a series with General Shokin. Yeah, I'll do that. After seeing Sri Lanka, Pak, Bangladesh, Maldives, would Nepal and Bhutan join India to protect themselves from assault and from? I don't know. I mean, this is something which I'm not really given thought to, honestly. Okay. I heard Z can't read and write. How come he's an economist in China for ruining? No, Z is an engineer. He's an engineer by profession. Don't ever think that he can't read and write. And he was once sent back into the hills and he spent a lot of time reading Communist Party theory. He's a well-read chap. Huh? Don't think ever that he can't read and write. That's why he's written his own Xi Jinping thought. And when he wrote this Xi Jinping thought, everyone felt that he wrote it far ahead of time. What Indian government is thinking about Bangladesh? Are they just observing or planning or executing something which they have planned? I think some plan will get into motion. It's already there in motion. I will not say. And let's see how it goes. There's a plan. After all, that's the plan by which our prime ministers refused to meet Yunus during the BIMSTEC meet, which is going to come up shortly. How are you, Jayan? Nice to see you back here. Is there a possibility Bangladesh block or chicken neck? Forget it, out of question. How many years Xi Jinping will survive more? That's $1 million question. He might just continue for another 2-3 years. He might just finish off this term. So let's wait. Don't be in a hurry. What exactly has Asim Munir done or not done that's pushed Pakistan to the brink? Now Tanzims are cropping up in Punjab as well to fight Pakistan army itself. How has he managed to mess up so bad? That's a question you have to ask Asim Munir. But he's done all this. I think he's a small man. Soch. He's a man with small ideas. He's a man, a vain man with a lot of anger within him, and a guy with vengeance in his heart, manipulative vengeance he's got. That's what it is. Yeah, thanks to Sri Hari Raju for gifted membership. Thanks a lot again, Sri Hari. You've been so kind. Is it true that Z had a stroke and kept away from CCP, rulers selecting his replacement? I look, news have come that he's had a stroke, he's probably had a second stroke, all that. But the way he's going about doing things, he looks quite normal. So I will not put it too much, I'll not give too much credence to this. Okay. But there is some problem. Out of Sam, Dan, Bear, Dand, what is the best gift we can give to US and go all four? Yeah. See, it's like this. Yunus and Co are not the issue as far as I'm concerned. For me, the more important thing is the people of Bangladesh. Or outreach should still be to the people of Bangladesh, notwithstanding the fact there's a guy like uh, Joy Bangla who keeps he's coming and talking all nonsense. वो तो बेवकूफ है वो तो 3 idiot नहीं है 4th idiot है ये but we need to be balanced. Okay, at the end of the day we need Bangladesh as friends. How will we be able to achieve it is that's the test. Let's see. Yeah, today we are a food exporter, and right, China is a net food importer. That's a very important point. Yeah, false history, false truths. I completely agree with you, CV. And this is what I'm going to talk of when I speak on the weekend about China, India, and our culture. The way we look at our culture, the way they look at their culture. Because that's what that fellow has written today. What a detailed presentation on China, amazing. You know why I got this comment of yours out, JBJP, is the fact that when I speak of China, all this is with me. It took me a lot of time to go through my old presentations and get those, cartoons out to prove my point to you. What's your thoughts on India's future as majority people think India is slow in reforms and failing in capturing manufacturing? In my view, slow and steady wins the race. I completely agree with you. If you go as fast as China, you'll fall as fast as China. And our country is not tuned to progress the way China has progressed. Let me be very honest. We should not be a manufacturing company, power of the world. We need to improve our manufacturing sector, maybe from what we are to about another 10%, 15%, and keep improving our services, which we are good at. We need to play to our strengths. We need to have India model, not the China model. An Indian from North, it really depresses me that some or many, I'm not sure, but majority people themselves think as native Dravidian and Northern people as Aryan. Look, this is a thing which I've learned from my school days. And this is a thing which incidentally has come out of Hinduism. This is the Hindu way of putting things across. And this is not, don't think I'm now talking, in the Hinduism, in the nationalistic Hinduism jargon. That's not the thing. This is what I learned in my village when I was a young boy. Some used to say I'm Aryan. Some used to say that chap is Dravidian. I've learned it. This issue is ingrained in us. It is not as if there's a divide. Remember this again in our Hindu scriptures. There's no divide between the Aryan and the Dravidian. Okay, there's no divide. But the feeling that he's an Aryan, the feeling that he's a Dravidian has always been there. This is not a product of BJP or RSS or some Hindu Sabha or something like that. No. This is something which is there. In my village, when I used to go, I used to hear this. Bangladesh people said Yunus is their internal matter. Now that he talked about Indian territory parroting someone else's script, should one consider as an attempt to draw us into chaos? No, no. We don't have to get involved in the chaos. You just have to deal with it. And there are many ways to deal with it. That lady said, no, Meena Sikri, you're the upper riparian, pani band kar do, bas baat khatam. Yeah, I go by this. Aryan or Dravidian, I don't care. Just salute to Triangular, respect the nation, and carry on. But well, as part of what we are, the culture we are, we have which whether you're a Hindu, Muslim, or a Christian, or a Sikh, whatever you have a concept of all these which you've learned through various interactions. So it's there. You can't wish it away. But I think they are there. That it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter really. After all, if you go back into time, who was the original Dravidian? Ravan. And Ravan was a Shiv Bhakt. Okay, so let's not, the fact that Ravan is the main villain in Ramayana is a different story. Okay, it is a different story. But the fact is that he was also a learned man. Yeah. Why should India continue to come to rescue of Bangladesh even now? All these foolish acts by this foolish man? Yunus, we recently have sent, right? Anup, the point is we have to differentiate between people of Bangladesh, the ruler of Bangladesh, and the current ruling elite of Bangladesh. Well, that's why I said, look at what Bangladesh army is trying to do. It's trying to stabilize the situation. And it's trying to give that the most important part of my presentation today was how many people are yet to decide to vote or have them not told whom they're going to vote for. Very clearly, those chaps are not going to vote for BNP or, all Jamaat and all that. They're waiting for something to happen. Okay. It is for them that we have to send rice, not for these buffoons. We shouldn't lose the people of Bangladesh. And I do feel it. There are a lot of people in Bangladesh who respect India and like India. China had decades-old one-child policy. The policy mandated by law, an outcome TFR 1. So the question, if decades later TFR is 1, why are we so surprised? Wasn't it? It was the aim, but the fact is that they didn't know they'll land up there. Yeah. It's a mind-soothing talk about fact about our neighbor. Thank you, Raja. Again, please send this to all your friends. The value of this talk of mine comes if everyone comes to know of it. Oh, you kept us on the edge. Thank you. Thanks a lot. A lot of people started complaining that I go too slow. Won't a weaker Bangladesh be a problem for India? As these people run to India and change the demographic, look, that's something we'll have to tackle. That comes with the package. You can't run out of it. It's been happening for the past 75 years. A lot of defense talk about deep state, but I never heard you talking about deep state. I would love your opinion. Every country has a deep state, okay, and that deep state never goes away. It doesn't matter who comes or goes, and that deep state is essential to the polity of that nation. It holds people who are transiting in and out of the system. It holds them onto a common platform. It sets a common platform. So deep state is not bad. The problem is if the deep state gets enlarged and goes political, it's a problem. The institutions of a nation are its deep state. In our country, the judiciary, the army, the parliament, the core of these people, the leaders of these people are all our deep state. In Pakistan, that is completely broken. In Pakistan, the deep state is only the army and ISI and all that. The judiciary is finished. The parliament is a rubber stamp. वो deep state है ही नहीं. It's not a state. So it is in the context of what you're talking that you have to understand. I think it is most stupidly used term. You don't vilify a deep state. You respect a deep state because it holds your country together. People don't understand this concept. वो जाहिल लोग हैं जो डीप स्टेट के बारे में जिस तरीके से बात करते हैं, ठीक है ना, जो आपका इसी ब्यूरोक्रेसी इज पार्ट ऑफ द डीप स्टेट. आपका जो तहसीलदार है वो भी पार्ट ऑफ द डीप स्टेट है. आपका पटवारी इज पार्ट ऑफ द डीप स्टेट. It holds the country together and ensures it runs as per a set of rules. It holds the constitution together. Okay. Yeah. What are the other questions? Anuj, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for your compliment. Yeah, can you please gather some latest info on Chinese major industries moving inland from coastal cities? Maybe for later. Yeah, I'll do that. When I get information, I'll do that. What about ceasefire today on LOC? It should continue. Why should you not? Why should you unnecessarily start killing each other? It doesn't make any big deal. It you leave. See, the thing is now Pakistan is stretched. Let it be there. Let it keep looking the other side. That will not run away. Why should you go and kill your own people? As a matter of principle, shouldn't this current administration still be empathetic, at least in voice over Tibet? The current administration US administration has to come out of its own internal problems before it can lay down an external policy. Right? That's the way I look at it. There are too many parts moving in USA for us to make a comment. Imagine a world without Pakistan, India bordering Iran and Afghanistan. Would that constitute a threat for India? You'll have a major problem within India. What will you do with 250 million Muslims? Your electoral map will completely change. Mr. Amit Shah has to, I don't know what he has to do in the Indian parliament. So let's not, we don't want them anymore. Yeah, please let them be there, including POK guys. Let them be there. Do you think the US is playing a double game with India and Bangladesh? Look, this is a normal thing. Every nation plays a double game with, there are no straight games with any two people. Even with Russia, these double games I've been seeing played. So don't, this is part of statecraft. Leave it at that. भैया देखो इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस में कोई सीधा नहीं होता, कोई सीधा नहीं चलता. अगर बंदा टेढ़ा नहीं चल रहा है ना, फिर शक होना चाहिए कुछ कर रहा है. यही हमने सीखा है. Because I'm a practitioner of international relations and whichever position I was. So I have seen this, right? Yeah. Okay. Thanks a lot. A lot of you have watched today. I do hope you liked it. In a couple of days, I'll start pushing it out in bits and pieces so that you can watch it in 20-minute or 25-minute segments. And again, once again, please like the video, share it, and subscribe to Ghana Shot. And do become members. I find Hari Raju giving 50 membership. While that is fine, those whom he has gifted should continue with their membership for next time also. Yeah, let's see. Huge fan, sir. I'm living in China for more than 10 years. Only you have the real depth insight of Chinese perspective compared to other YouTubes. Really admire your hard work. Oh, that's a great compliment. So nice of you. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks from an Aryan, my Dravidian general. I'm not Dravidian, I'm not Aryan, I'm Indian. Okay. I'm from Andhra Pradesh. I'm not from Tamil Nadu also, incidentally. Okay, right? So it doesn't matter whether I'm an Aryan or anything, I'm an Indian. First, last, and always. Thank you. Good night and Jai Hind to all of you.